Hi there, James Wanless again with the Voyager report about the tarot and the American presidency. Interesting subject, to be sure. As many of you do know, President Obama's number is 2, and his life card, therefore, is the Priestess. And when we add 2009 together, it reduces to the number 2 again, year of the Priestess. This got my brain working a little bit, and I said, gosh, I wonder, what is Vice President Biden's number? Even what is Michelle Obama's number? And so on. Well, guess what? Joe Biden's number is 2. He is a priestess. Interesting. What about Michelle Obama? You add up her birth numbers, and remember, you add the day, the month, and the year of birth. You add all that up to a single digit. And Michelle's case, number 2. That's this is an amazing coincidence / amazing synchronicity, which we'll talk about in a second. But then I went to find out, what about Vice President Biden's wife, Jill? What's her life number and card, therefore? And she is a number 5. Not a 2. What's up with that? Well, in the tarot, the number 5 card, this great archetype, which is a universal personality type, is called the Hierophant or Hierophant, which is 2 Greek words, hiero, to reveal, font, the light, the revealer of the light, the great teacher, or often known in the tarot as the priest. So here we have a real council of elders of this family united of 3 priestesses and 1 priest. Quite an amazing synchronicity, I feel, an amazing synchronicity. And of course, that's what the tarot is all about, is really following and believing in these extraordinary coinky-dinkies, these coincidences that are a lot more than just that, meaningful, if you will. And you know, in the ancient world, spiritual people, metaphysical people have always believed, even today, that this is one world, that we are all connected in time and space, even though in an invisible way, through the vibration. We're all transmitters and receivers of the vibration. And so we're all on a certain vibratory frequency. And that frequency is what connects us with other people. And now even today, physical people, physicists, empirical scientists now know through quantum physics, and they call it entanglement. You could take a molecule and divide it and take it to the other far side of the earth, and when you tweak this little molecule right here, right now, it will do exactly the same. The molecule will behave exactly the same, even though it might be 10,000 miles away, and it happens simultaneously. So now we have pretty much physical evidence about this whole field of synchronicity. Pay attention to those. So what can we expect anyway from this priestess administration of ours? Interesting question. Well, when you look at the priestess as their inner archetype, the priestess would rule by going deep within to what I would call enduring, real human values. And when you go inside to the real humanity, the heart of the humanity, this administration would be interested in issues that are really important to humankind, whether it's education, housing, health, science, environment, for all the people and not just a small niche of people. So it's a people-oriented, a heart-oriented administration. And it takes courage to do that. I always say it takes heart to follow your heart. No doubt about that. And it's so different than what we've seen in past administrations, which are more ideological, more head-oriented by following a certain idea, a certain kind of ideology. But a priestess is not about that. She's more about going into what is human being all about and what are these values. Actually, if you looked at President Bush's, for example, his number and life card, it does add up to number 6. And 6 in the tarot, even though it's sometimes known as the Lovers, is also the Gemini card. And the Gemini is kind of the talking heads. And this is a person who's very much influenced by other people's opinions, other people's ideas. The Priestess is not about that. She is following the deep inner truth of intuition and not persuaded by other people that it's about power or it's about position or about posture or about profits. It's about people. It is about people. And that's what we can expect from this administration, which is a really, really wonderful thing to know and hopefully trust. I say hopefully because every archetype has its shadow side. And this is what the Priestess would do. The Priestess would want to know, because she is number 2, this quality within us, I want to see this side, I want to see that side. I want to see the upside, I want to see the downside. To be balanced, to be fair, to be just, because that's what the Priestess is all about. So, let's take a look at the shadow side, the downside, if you will. I call it the red flag, the watch out. What a Priestess administration, a Priestess person, a Priestess president would have to be very, very careful and make sure it doesn't happen, the shadow side. And what are those? Well, when you look at the Priestess, go to any tarot deck, particularly go to Voyager Tarot, you will see that the Priestess is cold and therefore can be very, very remote and very distant. And that is not what we want from an American president. And I always feel that this presidency has become so important so much, it's almost like the monarchization of the American presidency. It's almost being treated like royalty or regalty. And that is something to watch out for. Very, very far away from American democracy. Now, another shadow side of the Priestess, catch this one, is secrecy. She can be very, very secretive in a remote kind of ivory tower place or some cave or something like that. But a lot of times you don't know what she's really feeling or who she really is or what's going on. Secrecy. And we know in this administration, it's all about transparency. Again, if you look at the diamond in the eye of the Voyager Priestess, it's a diamond. It's transparent. It's seeing the life through the lens of openness and not secrecy, which we have seen in the past. Another watch out for a Priestess presidency is to be very, very careful about self-righteousness. Oy, I mean, there are some Priestess types who are very wise. The Priestess is that wise woman, elder, sage, seer in all of us. We all have this. But sometimes it's like, well, I know and you don't. Very self-righteous, in my way or forget about it. That's not what this presidency is all about. It's about all of the people and not trying to find some kind of higher position that's above everybody else. Actually, in the old tarot, classic tarot, if you will, the Priestess is often called the High Priestess, the High Priestess. That's not what the democracy in America is all about. It's about electing a president who is a man of the people, who hangs out with the people and believes in people and does not get carried away with some incredible sense of high office, of self-righteousness. But the Priestess, although it represents the wisdom of President Obama and his family and the vice president, it's very cool. I mean, it's very wise. But I want to know, what about leadership here? The Priestess is not exactly a dynamic, charismatic, out in the world priestess. That is not her place. She's very introspective, intuitive. So in this next YouTube, we're going to talk about this Priestess administration from the standpoint of their leadership. Stay tuned. Thanks very much for listening and looking.